I went to the flea market and got this Game Boy Color, which is an original one, for 10 euros. It has a broken lid, and let's test it to see what it does, if it even does anything. So it has no power. Nothing happens when we pull the little button up, and we can see that there is damage to the screen as well. Not much, but we can see that there is a bit. So let's remove all the tri-wing screws and see what is happening inside. So our first peek at the inside, what do we have here? It's not that bad. The board looks very good. So first things first, let's see the continuity on the switch to see if it even does anything. So we start to check if there's continuity between these two pins, and then we pull it up and check the other pin up there. These two are for off, these two will be for on position, which is the one it's on now. So we have nothing. Let's scrub it a little bit and try again. Still no. It's a bit tricky. Still nothing. Nothing at all. We have absolutely nothing on none of the pins, so let's try to do a cleanup with some IPA and see if we manage to put it to work. So let's use this toothbrush with soft bristles, and let's soak it with IPA and move it around like crazy to see if it happens to sort this issue out. So with the cleaning done, let's now do the continuity test on the switch again. And there it is, it's beeping. So we have continuity between the position off and the position on as well. So let's move it around a little bit more to make sure it works. Still beeping and still beeping. Perfect. So let's go ahead and see if we will have power after we have done this to the switch. So we don't need the screen or anything, let's just put batteries in and then try to turn it on and see if we hear any chimes for Nintendo. So nothing, still nothing happens. Okay. There's no power on the LED, so still no power. So let's see some voltages. Unfortunately, I had zoomed in, so that's why you cannot see the multimeter, but it's showing the 3 volts for the batteries. And I'm testing now the jack to see if it has continuity with if it has voltage, not continuity. And we do have voltage on one side but not on the other. I believe on this circuit we need to have voltage on both sides in order to have the power circling on the board. So I will now put a bridge with the tweezer, and it is working. So we have a bad power jack, so I will need to order some material. So let's now remove the screen and test the Game Boy to see if we have any picture, to see if the board is working. So let's connect the screen back to the board, and then we'll do exactly what we were doing with the tweezers on the power jack and see if we have a picture on the screen. So let's now do the test, and you can now see what I'm doing. So I'm bridging the 2 points on the power jack, and as you can see the LED lights up and we have a Game Boy logo. Okay, so this is good. It means that it's working. Let's see with the game to see if it reads the game, and also let's test this volume button. And there we go, Game Boy. Nintendo is a bit scrambled. Probably the cartridge slot is a bit dirty, so let's insert it a couple of times and see if this leads to a proper Nintendo logo. We got the Nintendo logo. Oh, it went off. Nintendo logo, and yes, it goes into the game. So the Game Boy is working as it should. It just needs a new power jack, probably a new speaker. So I will get that sorted, and I will order an IPS screen as well to change this screen because it has a bit of burnout, and the lid. So it's been a couple of weeks, the parts have now arrived, so let's change this jack and this speaker. And we will replace this screen with an IPS screen. So over here we have the little bag of goodies. I had to buy 10 jacks, so if I ever come across a Game Boy that needs another one, I will have spares. And here we have the speaker. It's very well closed, so let's open it up. And here it is, a nice transparent speaker, so it's almost invisible in this transparent case that the Game Boy has. Here we have the new lid to fit the broken lid. And here is the parts to attach the IPS screen, which is over here. We will do that later. For now, let's replace the power jack. So let's move everything out of the way and start working. So the power jack, let's start by putting some flux on the speaker and on the power jack pins. With the flux applied, let's add a little bit of leaded solder so it's easier to remove. And the speaker, we just need to apply a bit of heat and it will drop off, just like so. There we go. Speaker is out, and now let's go ahead and remove the power jack. We have the solder sucker. We just heat up the solder until it is completely liquid, and then we just suck it with this little device. It creates a powerful vacuum and just vacuums up the liquid solder, and it will eventually get solid inside this syringe-like device. It eventually needs cleaning every now and then. Let's also clear the holes for the speaker. And now to remove the power jack, let's apply a little bit of heat without solder so we can remove the power jack. It always has a little bit of solder on the contacts, so we need also to apply the heat so it drops off. With the power jack off, we can see that the pin inside is completely to one side. I'm not sure if you can see it, but it is all the way to one side. It's probably the reason why it's not working. So let's put a brand new power jack. And now while we press it in with the tweezers, we will apply a little bit of heat with solder already on the iron so it can be attached at least to one of the pins, and then we'll just add solder without the tweezer over here. So basically we need to warm up the pin so it starts sucking the solder over to it. Just like that. We will do now the same to all the other pins, and we will then attach the speaker. So power jack is done. Let's flux the speaker a little bit and do exactly the same. Fairly easy. And there we go. Speaker is soldered. So we will now test to see if when we put batteries the red LED will come up. So it's already on, but I have not heard the GameBoy chime. We should have at least sound even without the screen. Let's try again. And still no sound. So let's put the screen on, and still no sound, but we do have a picture and the Game Boy turns on. So part of the problem is already sorted. We had no power, now we have no sound. Let's try to figure out exactly why we have no sound. Okay, so we now have sound. Maybe we have a dirty volume button, probably. So before we check that, let's remove the old caps, because these caps, they are almost 30 years old, so they will need change eventually. So let's just do it now while we have the Game Boy completely open. Here we basically heat up one side, pull the cap up so it is removed from the board. Do the same on the other side until it releases from the board. Now that it's off, we'll just add a bit of flux and solder on the contacts over here, so we can add a new capacitor in place of this one here. We now clean up a little bit, add a little bit more solder, more flux, and with the new cap in place, we just heat up a little bit on each of the sides until it melts into place. And we'll do the same to the other two caps. So now let's test this volume button. It should have 10K on one side, 6K on the other, and it does, so it's working properly. So we need to address what is causing the sound issue. Although we have sound, it's a little low. I think it's better now. When it's inside the case, it will echo, so it will sound louder, I believe. So let's do a complete cleanup of the board with our toothbrushes. Now, just to make sure, let's do a little bit of scrubbing inside the sound jack, because sometimes I've read that this can also do sound issues. So let's just insert and remove. As you can see, the cotton bud is coming out a little bit yellow, so probably some debris inside. So now let's test it again. It still works. Still has sound, and it's starting the Pokemon game. So we are good to go to change this screen with a bit of burnout. We can test the volume wheel. You can see that it goes up and down. So it is working. So let's turn it off and now start with the installation of the screen. So here's our IPS screen. I've ordered this from AliExpress. So let's see how's the quality of it and how easy it is to install. Apparently you don't need to solder anything. You just need to put the flex cables on this little board and connect it to the motherboard of the Game Boy, and the little green wire goes to the plus on the battery. This is the little board that will decode the signal from the motherboard into the screen, and this little flex cable will be placed in here, and then from here it will go to the Game Boy. And that little square that comes out of this flex cable is to change settings on the screen itself. So yeah, let's go ahead and install it. The screen will be plugged on this bottom one. You just put it in like so, and then close the flap on the connector, and that's it. Now if we just connect it on the motherboard, this is a spare one, and this little green wire, as I said, it will be connecting power into the board. So now let's go ahead and put it onto the motherboard. This cable is a little larger than the other one, so it's a little bit more difficult to fit in, but it's okay. It's not that bad. And the green cable, as we already know, is going to the plus on this battery side, so just under here. For now, we'll just test it and see how it goes. And then afterwards, I will solder it so it never releases from there. So now let's place the batteries and see how it looks like. Oh, definitely different from what I was used to on the Game Boy. Let's see if we can put the game running. The batteries are disconnected. This is not properly inserted on the chassis. So yeah, let's see if it runs the game now. It does. This is a normal Game Boy game, so it will not have all the colors. It looks good. It does look good. I need to try it out with a Game Boy Color game as well, but it does look much nicer. It's not that bad. It costs only 30 euros. It's really not that bad, and you don't need to solder anything, so it's good for beginners. Let's see a Game Boy Color game. Yeah, definitely looks much nicer than the normal screen. Well, I maybe will do this in all of my Game Boys. Yeah, this is the demo mode, as you can see. It's really nice. Really nice. I'm glad I bought this. Looks very good. So now that we saw that the IPS screen is working, let's now clean the chassis as we normally do. I will not show you this on camera, but I will clean everything in hot soapy water, and then when I'm done rinsing it and drying it, I will bring it back and you will see how it looks, because at the moment it's quite dirty. So let's go ahead, clean it and come back. So here it is, properly cleaned. Let's just do a little final cleaning here on the contacts so they will press into the Game Boy motherboard correctly. And now let's put the screen in place. So the little plastic piece goes like so on this side of the Game Boy, and we now align the screen. Let's remove the protected plastic, and the screen goes like this. It even has the cutout on the bottom right corner so we don't miss it. And then we need to put this little piece of paper over here. This is a double-sided tape. I will not glue it because if the screen is not properly aligned, then it will be really hard to put it in place. So I'll just leave it as is. And now we will put the motherboard on top of this and connect the ribbon cable on the back. The ribbon cable is not very flexible, so we need to be careful while aligning it so no pins are damaged. And there it is. And we now will put the little green wire through the motherboard under the cartridge slot into the plus of the battery. Let's align the speaker as well. It has a way to go in. And now let's put the screws in place to hold the motherboard. It's 3 Phillips screws. And now we will align the wire through the game cartridge slot and then put it over here on the plus of the battery. Let's use the tweezers to put a bit of pressure on the nut that we are doing. And now we apply a little bit of flux, and with the hot iron with a little bit of solder we will attach the wire permanently into this battery connector. Now let's assemble the shield on the chassis. 4 Phillips screws. And let's place it on top and finalize with our 6 tri-wing screws. And the ultimate thing, the battery cover. So there it is, really nice Game Boy Color, the original chassis, just a different battery cover with a new IPS screen. And let's see how it looks working on the chassis. Pretty neat. So I'll leave you with a bit of gameplay. If you want to watch it, feel free. If not, you can go ahead and move on. I wish to thank you for watching this video. Hope you enjoy it. Please subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one.